Imagine losing $25 billion in the blink of an eye. That's what happened to Lithuania, a small European nation, after it offended two of the world's biggest economies, China and Russia. Lithuania embarked on a path of political brinkmanship that would prove costly. The country decided to throw its weight behind Taiwan, approving the establishment of a Taiwanese representative office on its soil. This action was a direct challenge to China's One China policy, which views Taiwan as part of its sovereign territory. But Lithuania didn't stop there. The nation also aspired to position itself as an anti-Russia leader in Europe. This bold stance, however, was not welcomed by Russia, which viewed it as an unnecessary provocation. Naturally, these actions did not go unnoticed by the two economic giants. China, in response, suspended all economic and trade cooperation with Lithuania. This led to a staggering 76% drop in Lithuanian exports to China, causing significant unemployment issues back home. Russia, on the other hand, also responded decisively. Lithuania's decision to impose sanctions on Russia led to further economic consequences for the small European nation. This move also had a direct impact on Russia's strategic position in Europe. These decisions by Lithuania, while politically motivated, led to severe economic consequences. The loss of the Chinese market support plunged the nation into a period of economic difficulties. The country grappled with high inflation rates and escalating energy costs, among other issues. In the world of geopolitics, every decision has a price. For Lithuania, supporting Taiwan and positioning itself against Russia was a high-stakes gamble. Unfortunately, it was a gamble that didn't pay off. As the dust settled, Lithuania was left grappling with the economic fallout of its decisions. It was a geopolitical gamble that led to severe economic repercussions for Lithuania. With China suspending economic and trade cooperation, Lithuania's exports plummeted by a staggering 76%. Let's take a moment to digest the magnitude of that. Imagine the lifeblood of your economy suddenly dropping by over 3/4. That's the reality Lithuania found itself in. The immediate impact was like a punch to the gut. Factories that once hummed with activity fell silent. Goods that were once in high demand sat gathering dust. The wheels of commerce, which had been turning briskly, ground to a virtual halt. But the fallout didn't stop there. With production lines at a standstill, jobs began to evaporate. Unemployment, the silent predator, began to stalk the streets of Lithuania, its icy grip causing discomfort and distress to many households. The loss of income, the uncertainty of the future, the strain on social safety nets, all these factors created a climate of fear and anxiety. Meanwhile, Lithuania's sanctions on Russia added another layer of complexity to the situation. This was not a one-sided game of economic chess. Each move had consequences, each action a reaction. The sanctions on Russia, intended as a strategic maneuver, backfired spectacularly. The economic consequences were felt like the aftershocks of an earthquake, unsettling the economy and causing further instability. Energy costs soared, inflation rates skyrocketed, and the economic landscape of Lithuania began to look like a battlefield after a fierce and costly war. The ripple effects of these sanctions were felt in every corner of the nation, affecting everyone from the factory worker to the farmer. And so, Lithuania found itself in a precarious position. It was like a ship caught in a storm, battered by waves on all sides. The economic fallout was swift and brutal, leaving Lithuania in a precarious position. It was a harsh lesson in the interconnectedness of global economies and the high price of political maneuvering. In the aftermath of losing Chinese market support, Lithuania was hit with high inflation rates and rising energy costs. The economic tremors were felt far and wide, sending shockwaves through an economy already grappling with the fallout of its geopolitical decisions. The long-term effects of the economic sanctions were profound. Lithuania, once a burgeoning economy, was now mired in economic instability. The sanctions resulted in a dramatic drop in exports, a significant slump in the nation's GDP, and perhaps most worryingly, a sharp rise in unemployment rates. The country's economic pillars were shaking, and the cracks were beginning to show. High inflation rates, a classic symptom of economic instability, quickly became a harsh reality for Lithuania. The cost of living soared as prices of goods and services skyrocketed, putting immense pressure on households. The purchasing power of the Lithuanian litas took a nosedive, leaving many families struggling to make ends meet. But the repercussions didn't stop there. Lithuania's energy sector, heavily reliant on imports, was hit hard. Increased energy costs meant higher bills for consumers and businesses alike. This not only strained individual budgets, but also hampered the competitiveness of Lithuanian products in the international market. The impact of these economic sanctions extended beyond the financial realm, seeping into the everyday lives of Lithuanian citizens. The vibrant streets of Vilnius, once buzzing with activity, were now shadowed by uncertainty. The future, which had seemed so bright, was now clouded by economic turmoil. Lithuania's attempt to play the geopolitical chess game had backfired, leaving the country in a precarious economic position. The decisions that led to this point, once heralded as brave and bold, were now being questioned. The economic sanctions had hit hard, and the aftermath was a stark reminder of the potential consequences of geopolitical maneuvering. Lithuania was left grappling with an economic crisis of its own making. Facing an economic crisis, Lithuania began to seek reconciliation with China in an attempt to resume trade cooperation. The severity of the economic fallout had made it clear that Lithuania was on a precipice. It was a painful awakening for a nation that had underestimated the cost of its political posturing. In a bid to mend its frayed ties, Lithuania started to tread the path of reconciliation. The country recognized the need for a change in its approach towards China, a shift from confrontation to conversation. It was a challenging task, given the bitter taste of recent events, but the urgency was palpable. Lithuania understood that it needed to reduce the accusations and respect the One China policy, acknowledging Taiwan as a part of China, not as an independent entity. This change of heart, however, was not merely about swallowing one's pride. It was about acknowledging the reality of global politics and learning to navigate its treacherous waters. Lithuania had to make some tough choices, and the road to reconciliation was fraught with potential pitfalls. On one hand, mending relations with China could open the doors to renewed trade cooperation. This could breathe life into Lithuania's economy, helping it recover from the crippling losses it had suffered. On the other hand, it was a delicate balancing act. Lithuania had to ensure that its attempts at reconciliation did not antagonize its Western allies, especially the United States, who were engaged in their own power struggle with China. Lithuania's situation underscores the intricate interplay between geopolitics and economics. It's a reminder that in the grand theater of international relations, every move has consequences, and every decision can ripple across economies. It also highlights the importance of diplomacy in managing these complex relationships. In the end, Lithuania's search for reconciliation is a story of a nation trying to find its footing in a rapidly changing world order. It's a journey fraught with challenges, but one that holds the promise of a brighter economic future. It's a complex dance of diplomacy with the future of Lithuania's economy hanging in the balance. The economic crisis in Lithuania serves as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of geopolitical gambles. This tale of economic strife that unfolded in Lithuania is indeed a cautionary one. It underscores the importance of carefully navigating the delicate web of geopolitical relationships, especially when economic interdependencies are at stake. In a world that is more interconnected than ever, actions taken by a single country can reverberate across the globe, triggering cascading effects that can lead to severe economic repercussions. Lithuania's story is a clear depiction of this. The country's decision to align itself with the US anti-China camp and to challenge China's territorial sovereignty by supporting Taiwan led to a significant economic fallout. A whopping 76% drop in exports and a surge in unemployment were just some of the consequences Lithuania had to face. Similarly, Lithuania's attempt to position itself as an anti-Russia leader in Europe also backfired, leading to further economic consequences. These actions directly impacted Russia's strategic position and resulted in punitive economic sanctions. After losing the support of the Chinese market, Lithuania grappled with economic difficulties that included high inflation rates and increased energy costs. In a bid to reconcile and resume trade cooperation, Lithuania emphasized the need for reduced accusations and support for the One China policy. These events underscore the need for countries to maintain balanced diplomatic relations. It is not just about being on the right side of the geopolitical divide, but also about understanding the economic implications of these decisions. Countries must strive for a balanced approach, understanding that their actions can have far-reaching consequences in an increasingly interconnected global economy. As we reflect on Lithuania's journey, we learn that diplomacy and economics are two sides of the same coin. In the end, it's about striking a balance between standing up for one's values and understanding the potential economic implications. As Lithuania continues to navigate this economic storm, the world watches and learns, hoping to avoid a similar fate.